Measles is back and spreading. A week ago, it was in Texas. It can now also be found in Mexico, Kentucky, California, Georgia, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Alaska. Local outlets are also reporting one case in Washington state. The illness has killed one child.
Health and Human Services head Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been a vocal vaccine critic. He recently downplayed the outbreak as not unusual, but he seemed to change his tune last night.
RFK Jr. wrote an op-ed for Fox News published Sunday evening saying that measles is a highly contagious respiratory illness with certain health risks, especially to unvaccinated individuals. Vaccines not only protect individual children from measles, but also contribute to community immunity, protecting those who are unable to be vaccinated due to medical reasons. That's from RFK Jr. in that op-ed, which comes in response to this measles outbreak in Texas, where 146 cases have been confirmed so far. This outbreak has taken the life of, as I said previously, one school-age child who was unvaccinated. This is the first measles-related death in over 10 years.
Now, let's remember last year RFK Jr. was asked if he would recommend that children get the measles, mumps and rubella, MMR, vaccine, and this is how that went.
So for America's children right now, do you recommend they take the MMR vaccine? Okay, one last fun question.
But the question now is it too late for his latest call to action?
Yeah, I don't think it's too late. And also that quick clip of him just not wanting to talk about, I don't know that was indicative of anything.
Well, I've seen the longer clip from which that is culled, and I don't think it is misrepresenting him. He is irritated by the interview, but the question is still, would you recommend that people take the MMR vaccine? And
hasn't he
walks
previously
away.
said that his kids were totally up to date on the vaccine schedule until COVID vaccine emerged?
Well, if he has, why would it be so hard to say yes then?
Well, I don't know, and maybe it isn't, because he wrote this op-ed, which I think is great, saying that people should definitely look into this as a good choice for a lot of people, noting the community benefits of vaccinated people, noting that the unvaccinated are at greater risk of a bad health outcome, and it's a good op-ed.
I mean, I think that the issue here is that there is a change in tone. Now, if Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has become more of an enthusiast for vaccinations, I welcome him to the pro-vaccination fold. I think his history thus far has been very different from that. I think it has been one that he has pushed misinformation at times and has certainly in terms of his public profile profited from doing so. Now, if he has in a position of power sought to modify that position or ease that position, I think that's a good thing. And I think that if he had continued down the road that he was on, it would be a very dangerous thing. My whole resistance to him when he was up for confirmation was rooted in his attitudes toward vaccinations generally.
Well, it seems like he's putting. Do you feel somewhat put at ease then?
As I say, I think it's good that he's saying what he's saying. The tone of those remarks in the op-ed are different to what we have seen from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. previously. I will be interested, honestly, to see how his MAHA folks react to that, because I think it is an op-ed that is significantly more pro-vaccine than they are accustomed to, and obviously a lot of anti-vaxxers are very much in the RFK Jr. constituency, so we'll see what they have to say.
There's also, I do think sometimes the pro-vaccine and anti-vaccine end up getting a little reductive, because these vaccines are not all quite the same, and then there's, I'm pro-vaccine in that I think you absolutely ought to be able to take a vaccine, and that vaccines are a good choice for a lot of people in a lot of different circumstances. I'm fully vaccinated, including with the COVID vaccine. I don't think the COVID vaccine should be required of anyone. If opposing vaccine and I have questions about how the health community sold that vaccine, including questions now that even the top people in charge of selling it, including Fauci's BFF, Deborah Birx said about how it was marketed as a prevention of infection rather than just severe disease and death. I haven't paid attention to every single thing RFK Jr. has said about vaccines ever. Certainly the connection he drew between vaccines and autism is not one that has been borne out by the data as far as I know, although again, I'm not an expert. That's what most people have concluded from looking at it.
It's been debunked.
So
the British doctor who proposed that was censured for basically cooking the books. But anyway.
Yeah, well. So fine, but you know, I think, especially for the vaccine resistance, I think, you know, just what can the government do? I think this is exactly the right thing. Here's someone who has some credibility among people who are reticent about vaccines, saying, look, this is a very serious, it can be a very serious disease.
Yeah.
It affects children. You trust me because I don't just, you know, utter everything that pharmaceutical companies say. You trust me, and I'm saying that the measles vaccine is something you really ought to look into if you haven't gotten it, because it's a very serious disease, and it has a good track record of preventing death from it. So I think that's great.
I mean, the measles vaccination had effectively eliminated measles from this country. And I hear what you're saying when you say the anti-vax and pro-vax labels are reductive. But my point is that the skepticism about one vaccine, the COVID vaccine, one set of vaccines, I suppose I should say, to be technical about it, has actually percolated through to other vaccines. So for years, for example, the goal with measles has been a 95% vaccination rate. Lots of states in the United States are now below that, and they appear to be below that because of the spread of what I think is fair to call anti-vaccine sentiment. And I think that's where the danger lies.
Well, I agree, and that is dangerous. I think blowback against the COVID vaccine is what, to some degree, what has caused that. I mean, Deborah Birx also thinks that, right? That's what she said. That was the gist of her remarks in that interview, that she regrets how, now she was not taking personal responsibility, even though I think she should, for how it was portrayed to the public. But people losing a bit of faith in that vaccine has caused an uptick in not wanting to get vaccinated for other things where the vaccine is much more effective at preventing transmission as well as it is. And it's not totally preventative of transmission, but does a really good job of transmission. The measles vaccine does, as opposed to the COVID vaccine.
I mean, I think that the difficulty in that argument, I think, is that it ignores the role played by actual bad faith actors in propagating anti-vaccine nonsense. So it conflates skepticism or whether initial claims were overblown with just conspiracy-minded kind of hucksters, and I think that's kind of a problem.
That's fine, but I mean, a lot of what they said, a lot of what I remember hoping and believing was going to be true about the COVID vaccine in terms of it reducing cases to nothing. Remember breakthrough cases? We were told there's just going to be a small number of breakthrough cases, as with any vaccine. Small number of people are going to get it anyway. I got vaccinated in April or May, somewhere around then, of when they had become available. And then in July, I got COVID for the first time, and I was like, oh, I'm one of the people who got a breakthrough case. Imagine that. And then everybody got a breakthrough case. Everybody on Earth.
Well,
I don't know. Like, who was really, really wrong? The people who said that was going to be a rare occurrence.
I am, of course, vaccinated, and to my knowledge, I've never had COVID, but who knows?
Who knows? Well, you say that, and that could be the case, but don't the experts say that, like, 95% of all people have had it at this point?
Yeah, so I
might have had it and not had symptoms, or not. It was so mild you didn't know, or some of the tests can be inconclusive. So you probably had it. Maybe you didn't, but
maybe I'm just super resistant.
Maybe you're super resistant. Maybe we gotta take Niall's blood and start injecting it into people.
Inject my genes into everyone.
Then we're gonna Hulk out like Niall. We're all gonna become Irishmen. Green indeed.
COVID free.
We have a lot more to talk about on Rising. Please stay with us.